Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking, omoplata, leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest. Sitting on the top, and I'm laughing at the fools who think they coming for the spot. You ain't got a fucking shot, it's already mine. You can't never fucking stop, you know I stay on the grind. Broken bones and black eyes, they just part of the life. Haymaker, MMA, we taking over your mics. No sleeping, bloody knuckles, it's nothing to the hustle. I'll be fighting till I die, every day is still a struggle. I made it out the rubble, my knees ain't never buckle. I came here for a fight, but I'm ready for a rumble. So you gotta feel the chaos we've been leaving behind. Cause ain't nothing going down that I didn't design. But it's time to start the show, so extinguish the flame. Hey, make it MMA, we going straight for your brain, yeah.
And welcome back to Haymaker MMA. EJ Reed, Aaron Admire are your hosts today. No Steve with us this week. He's going to take a break until 288, UFC 288. They'll preview in the post shows. Aaron, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. It is warm up here. You probably already know that because you're only like 2 hours that way, but I got 80 degrees. So, when we first got on here, I didn't have a shirt on.
Oh, man. The weather's been up and down. I feel like Monday it was pretty cold, but then it warmed back up, like you said.
Yeah, and this Saturday, the high's like 39.
Yeah. When I was in KC this past weekend, it was like in the 50s, maybe 40s.
Yep. It's just back and forth. 80 today, 39 by the weekend.
Crazy. Well, we're getting close to summer being here, so can't complain if it's a couple of cold days here and there before then.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, so this is the bonus episode. UFC just had not a pay-per-view, but a live event this past weekend. And for the listeners that don't know, me and Aaron both live in Missouri, him more specifically Kansas City. I live in Jeff City area. So it's like a 2-hour drive for me. So figured do some live reporting and I moseyed my way down to Kansas City.
Did you have fun?
Yeah. It was a interesting event. That's what I wanted to get into before we get into the actual fights. So that Saturday morning, right before I went to the gas station is when I actually bought my ticket because I wasn't sure if you would be able to make it. So I did the last minute thing. And so right before I filled up, I bought a ticket off of SeatGeek. And lo and behold, I made the 2-hour drive. And once I got to the spot I stopped at, it said, your tickets have been canceled. And I'm like, of course this is happening when I try to buy a ticket. And so I wasn't freaking out, but I'm like, this is annoying. I got to go back and go through the apps and see what ticket sellers are actually selling tickets. And so I went through Access Tickets and were able to find tickets. The tickets that I got originally on SeatGeek, they were for lower level seats. I think they were on the first 10 rows, so they were pretty close.
Damn.
And then once those seats got canceled, I was able to find lower level seats on the opposite side. It was on the opposite of the hard camera side. And they were a little bit higher, but they ended up being $100 cheaper than those original tickets I bought. So,
yeah, hell yeah. You didn't try Game Time? Because you're the one that turned me on to the Game Time app.
Really? I put you on the Game Time app? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, when we were in St. Louis for Royal Rumble.
I did not try the Game Time app. I probably should have, but hindsight is always 20/20, as they say. So when I touched down, my tradition every time I go to Kansas City, I gotta go get some of that Kansas City barbecue.
Where'd
And
you go?
man, I want to say Kansas City is firmly my second favorite barbecue in the country now after that past visit. I'm a Carolina boy, so Carolina barbecue is always gonna be my number one.
What place did you stop and eat at?
So I've been to Gates before, and I've been to Arthur Bryant's, and I've been to another spot. I can't think of the name of it, but all of them were like, top list on Google. This place I went to is called LC's Barbecue. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. Perfect. LC's, that's one of the best.
Oh, man. That barbecue slaps so hard, man. I was about to go into a food coma.
Yeah, man, they got some good stuff. The way I tell everybody if they're visiting Kansas City, they always ask, "What's the best barbecue?" I say, find the worst neighborhood, find just a place that looks like a shithole, and you'll smell it. And that's who's gonna have it, man. Usually a couple guys back there fucking smoking and grilling briskets and ribs and shit. That's where you're gonna find it.
Yeah, like you said, it wasn't in the best part of town, but like I'm not scared when it comes to like going to sketchy parts of town because like for the most part, if you don't mess with people, nobody's gonna mess with you. But you always want to be on your P's and Q's when you go to an area like that. But nobody messed with me, so went in, got my barbecue. It was not the cheapest though. It cost me like
No,
$30 for a plate, but they give you a bunch of food, so you get your money's worth.
yeah, for sure.
I got what did I get? I got the ribs because all of the plates come with ribs, and I got the short end. I think it was pork belly short ends or something like that. It was
Oh, the
pork.
pork belly burn ends.
Yeah, man, that
That's
was
where it's
it.
at. That's what I like making on my smoker.
And I got the smoked chicken. So got my food. Went to drive to the arena on the full belly. Got to the arena. The parking there wasn't too bad. I got the last spot in the parking lot that I went to. It was right across the street from the arena.
Yeah.
So I moseyed my way on to the arena. Stopped by and got a couple beers. Man, I feel like beer prices keep going higher and higher as the years go on, man.
It is. I mean, I remember, we thought $8 a beer was high back in the day. Now I think the average is about $13.
I paid 20 for a beer.
Woo! Damn.
They were like the bigger boy beers, but still, man, wasn't cheap to get those beers. And I haven't been to a lot of concerts recently, but I've been to wrestling shows recently. Every time I go to these events, I never get merch. But for some reason, the merch stand was calling me this past weekend, man. Man, they had a black UFC Kansas City shirt. It was pretty basic. It had that, and then on the back, it had the two fighters, Allen and Holloway, on there. So I got that, but I got a white UFC Kansas City shirt. This one it was a little bit more eye popping because it had UFC Kansas City. It was a smaller font than the black T-shirt, but then on the back it had like a big Kansas City barbecue bottle on it. So that's why I had to get it. So I got two T-shirts. Spent way too much money on T-shirts. Almost about $100 on two T-shirts, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. And we know the fighters ain't going to see any of that money.
Oh no, Dana White is getting fat off those merch sales. Even
More
fatter than he
blackjack
is.
money for him.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I finally made my way down to my seats, and when I sat down, I heard two girls chirping behind me. I'm not sure how much they knew about MMA, but because they were talking about like how many rounds are there and stuff like that. Pretty annoying at first, and I didn't want to look behind me. They had that classic Kardashian vocal fry, how girls talk nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be back in the day, it used to be Valley Girls and kind of morphed into the Kardashian vernacular or however they speak. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to look behind me. I didn't want to be rude. So I just chalked it up as them being like two blonde bimbos. And they were with three other guys. And it was two empty seats next to me. And one of the guys they were with made his way down to the empty seat. So I don't even know if they're in their right section, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And
Screw
then
it.
as the fight went on, one of the girls wanted to come down and sit at the other empty seat. And then she got her other friend to come down to the other seat and made the other guy go back up a row. And I looked and I'm like, that's not what I expected. It was an Asian girl and a black girl. I'm like,
Damn.
never judge a book by his voice or by his cover. 'Cause I did not expect that.
Hell yeah.
And once they moved down by me, they're pretty cool for the rest of the fight. I was chatting with one of them. We were joking around. We were making fun of some of the fighters' interests, and I was asking her questions about what interest would she use if she was a fighter. So they ended up being cool, but at first I was kind of annoyed with them chirping behind me. But yeah, it ended up being pretty cool. And for the most part, it was a pretty electric crowd, man. The difference between these UFC and these WWE or wrestling shows that I forget about is that, because I haven't been to UFC in like 4 years, is that the UFC, they use the whole arena kind of like basketball. I'm used to a fourth of the arena being taken up by that big stage.
Right, right.
And Kansas City for the fight this weekend, it was a sellout. So it was kind of amazing seeing all those people in there at a sellout show like that. And you had the USA chants going on. A couple guys behind me tried to get a "Let's Go Brandon" chant, but they failed miserably. It didn't pick up. And also, actually, one of the girls, when Holloway was fighting, one of the girls was like, "Why are they chanting USA? One guy's from England and one guy's from Hawaii."
Oh, wow. So they didn't realize that Hawaii's in the United States.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, like I said, it was pretty electric crowd for the most part. Did you get a chance to watch it back?
So I did watch the whole main card, so I did get to watch it, and there was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, so before we get into the main card, I just want to get a few notes on the prelims. You didn't get a chance to watch it, but Brandon Roval, he hit who did he face? He hit Matheus Nicola with a nasty knee. And the way I was seated in the arena, I couldn't see it. So when he went down, I'm like, what happened? Like, I thought he just went down for no reason. But you look back up on the big screen, you see he hit him with a nasty knee flush and some elbows after that. So that was a pretty notable prelim fight. Also, hometown boy, Zach Cummins. I don't know if you saw any footage from that. He retired in the ring. He had a back and forth brawl with Ed Herman, short fuse Ed Herman, who's been in the UFC for 100 years now. And,
yeah, I did watch that one just because I wanted to see it, just because he's a local guy, and I've always been a fan of Ed Herman. I've always liked him. Glad to see that Zach Cummins got the win late in that fight.
Yeah, and it was a feel-good moment afterwards. He retired in the ring with his daughter in his hand. Also, short fuse retired as well, and they both gave praise to each other. So that was a pretty heartwarming retirement speech. But we know how retirements in UFC go, so let's see if those two stick to their retirement plans.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Zach Cummins does, because I believe he used to train with or under James Krause, and we've kind of touched on what he's going through now. So I don't know if Zach has branched off, because as far as I know, Dana White kicked everybody out of the UFC that was under James Krause. So, I mean, I guess Zach kind of broke off, or they made an exception for it just because, you want to have at least one hometown guy on the card.
Yeah, yep. They always usually get the local guy in there because the fans will show up for that. Might be a slight ticket sale boost with that. What else? There's one other prelim fight I wanted to talk about. Oh, the ladies fought on there. Denise Gomez, she defeated Brana Brazil. And with the lady fighters at the smaller weights like that, you usually don't see a lot of one punch knockout power in the hands. You usually see it with the kicks, but she caught her with a punch that dropped her, and then she finished up with some ground and pound. So that was pretty impressive as well. And I'm curious to see where her career goes next after that win.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we will finally get into the main card.
Well, I think there was one more undercard fight that I watched. Nope, it was main card. Never mind, we'll get to it.
Yeah, so we'll start from the bottom and make our way to the top. So for the first fight, we had Rafa Garcia defeating Clay Guida by unanimous decision. What do you think about this fight, man? Clay Guida has been in the UFC forever.
He's been in the game forever. He's always fun to watch. He's never had a boring fight. I think it's probably time for him to think about hanging it up. He threw a shit ton of strikes, but he only landed like 25% of them. Garcia threw about the same amount of strikes, but landed significantly more. Just Garcia beat him to the punch every time, and it was like Clay Guida could not connect on anything. Like he wasn't throwing them fast. It was like he was telegraphing everything. Like I was like, man, something's off. And I don't know if it's the age or what it is.
A lot of movement by Guida, like always, but he wasn't doing anything with it. And Garcia was sharp with that jab. Like you said, Guida might be a little bit past his prime, a little bit slower than he used to be. So, did you see his post-fight interview?
No, I didn't watch the interview after.
He act like he's going to retire. He was like, "Psych, I'm not retiring." So, I don't know.
His record's up to like 38-21 now. That's a lot of fights. That's also a lot of losses to take. He's been in some wars. You know, the Diego Sanchez fight was a classic. Um, he tried 3 takedowns in that fight, which to me, when I see Clay Guida go for a takedown, it's kind of a desperation move because he's not the best on the ground. He was just outclassed, and I don't even know where to go with him now. I mean, he's always been a gatekeeper, but I don't even know if he's a gatekeeper anymore.
So if Dana White doesn't cut him, you think they should just feed him to a new fighter for them to get some clout, or you think he should do like a fun old guy fight with another old fighter?
Either one would be good. I mean, he would be a great guy. You know, he would be the test for a new fighter. You know, kind of like we had Rosas Jr. A week or two ago fighting. Clay Guida would be a good fight for him. Let's see if that kid can bounce back. I'm sure he can. I think that would be a decent fight. Or, like you said, have an old guy fight. You know, bring back somebody from the old school. You know, if Diego Sanchez wanted to come back and mix it up a little bit. Or, you know, a lot of the guys jump ship for Bare Knuckle Fighting League and PFL. You know, maybe Eddie Alvarez wants to come back.
So Guida is at lightweight. Rosas is at bantam. Maybe they could do like a meet in the middle and do featherweight fight between those two.
Yeah, because I think Guida's went down and made featherweight.
Yeah, he has in the
Rosas
past.
Jr. could come up to 145.
Yep, that would be a fun fight. I was trying to think of all the old guys that are still at like lightweight. All of them are starting to retire. Cowboy Cerrone, he just retired. Who else? Frankie Edgar, I think he's retired, even though he last fought at bantamweight, but he fought at featherweight too. And of course, he got the belt at lightweight. I'm trying to think. Immortal Matt Brown, he usually fights at welterweight, but I think he's retired. So
let's see, UFC lightweight. I want to see if there's any old guys on this ranking, because I was even thinking like, you know, if Gray Maynard wanted to come back, Gray Maynard and Clay Guida would be a fun fight to watch. Just, you know, 2 guys that can slug.
Yeah, Gray Maynard's been tired for like a decade now, so I don't know if you could persuade him to come out of retirement just for a Guida fight. But I'm looking at the top 15. All of these guys are young cats for the most part. Dan Hooker, he's not quite Clay Guida's age, but he's been there for a while. He's at 11. But I don't know if you're Dan Hooker, you want to risk whatever kind of record you have. I don't know if he's on a win streak right now, but I don't know if you want to risk that fight. Clay Guida, so.
Yeah, anything could happen, and then, you know, Hooker loses his steam and everything. I mean, Drew Dober's up there.
Yeah, Drew
I got
Guida
Guida ranked at 30 in the world at lightweight. So who do we see? Oh, Jim Miller fought a couple weeks ago. Jim Miller.
Oh, that'd be a fun fight. I don't have my Clay Guida's record in front of me, so I don't know if they already faced each other yet. They've had to run into each other.
I'm sure they have. I mean, you know, 5-10 years ago when the lightweight division was strong, I'm sure they would have crossed paths because they were both top 10 back then.
Yeah, that would be a fun old guy fight. If it's been a while since they faced each other, if they have faced each other, then have those two match up again. That takes us to the next fight on the card. We have Pedro Munoz defeating Chris Gutierrez by the unanimous decision. The crowd was a little bit annoying during this fight. Did you see them put the lights up during the fight?
Was this the fight that had all the boos and everything going? Everybody thought it was kind of slow.
And all the crowd part of putting up their phone lights. I was surrounded by people with their phone lights. That's a little bit annoying. I know you bought your money and your hard-earned cash to buy the tickets, but you don't have to try to hijack the show. I understand it wasn't the most action. So Munoz is ranked number 9. Gutierrez is number 13. Munez dropped Gutierrez early in the fight, got him on the ground. Not a lot of whole action in the second and third round, but Munoz was the busiest fighter and had Gutierrez backpedaling the whole fight.
Yeah, I thought it was an okay fight. I mean, it was very technical on the feet. I was going for Gutierrez on this one. I thought he would have pulled it off, but Munoz just, kind of showed he had a little bit more, just a little bit more experience. He looked a little more seasoned in there. Gutierrez actually landed more strikes, but Munoz was in control more, so that's why he got the decision.
Yeah, so what to do next with Munoz? He had that no contest against Sean O'Malley before this fight. Lost to Cruz, lost to Aldo, beat Rivera, lost to Edgar, lost to Sterling. And he's ranked number 9 at the bantamweight division. So I think you put him against maybe the number 10 or number 11, maybe number 8 guy.
Yeah, somebody like Yadong Song. I think they might even said it during the broadcast that, a next step up for Munoz would be, like Dominic Cruz.
I don't know how clamoring Cruz would be to take that rematch because he already beat him. But
yeah.
I don't know. Beggars can't be choosers, so if they wanted to set up a rematch between those two, I don't think Cruz has that much say in it. I mean, he does have a little bit of leverage since he's a commentator and a former champion, but how about Ricky Simone versus Munoz?
Yeah, that would probably be a decent one. Yeah, Yadong Song would be a good one, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. We'll see how it unfolds within the next few months. I'm sure they'll figure out something for him. And moving on to a light heavyweight bout, Iwan Kudalaba defeated Tanner Bozeman by TKO. Man,
that was a fun little knockout. Tanner Bowser came up from middleweight for this, and you could kind of tell that he was a little bit undersized for it. Kutalaba just throwing hammers, dude. He was throwing, just full force the whole time. He wasn't doing jabs to touch him or back him off. He was just throwing heaters. I knew as soon as one connected, it was going to be good. Bozer kind of held on for a minute, but, it didn't last long.
Man, the crowd went crazy. When it happened, I had to get up and see because everybody in front of me got up. But Kudalaba threw that overhand right, took him down, and then went to town with those right hands. Man, it was electric being in there, actually witnessing it, man.
Yeah, and this is one of those fights that, it was fun to watch. It was good for the Kansas City crowd to see and everything. But it's just two guys that are, like, okay, Bozer, his record is 20-10. Kutalaba came in at 17-9. They're not, big winners, but they're always willing to fight and throw.
Yeah. When the light heavyweight division is wide open, it's clamoring for somebody to, take the bull by the horns and take over that division. What do you do with Kudalaba after this?
Kutalaba, I don't even know I don't think he's in the top 15 at light heavyweight. The next fight that we were going to get to, I think it was the next fight. Yeah, it was the Jacoby fight in Azmat.
Yeah, Kudalaba's not ranked right now.
Kutalaba
they should give him that big step in competition and feed him a top 15, like a 10 through 15 person.
Yeah, the Jacoby, if he could fight him, that would be good. Even Azmat, I think Azmat's ranked a little bit higher than that at like 11, but still falls in there. Falls in that range. He should be fighting 10 to 15.
Yeah, give him the winner of the next fight we're about to talk about. That'd be a good matchup. And that transitions us into the next matchup. We had Azamat Murzakanov defeating Dustin Jacoby by unanimous decision. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Asmat was pretty in control of it. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from Jacoby. I think Jacoby looked real good in this fight too. Jacoby was definitely the busier when it came to striking. Um, they both landed a takedown. Asmat did get a knockdown on him. I thought this was a good fight. I don't know I don't know what ended up being fight of the night, but I thought this was real good.
Yeah, two top 15 guys going at it. Azamat dropped him with I don't know if it was a right, I can't remember, but he dropped him early off in the fight. And he was the one that was pushing the pace, was walking him down. Wasn't a whole lot of action in the second round until he dropped him again towards the second round with that overhand left. And then Jacoby tried to push the pressure in the third round, but it was a little bit too late by then.
Yeah, it's just hard for me watching light heavyweight fights anymore because we've got to witness the John Joneses, the Ryan Baders, all these guys that are in the. I watched this fight thinking, could any of these guys, Jacoby and Asmat, what would they do against the Anthony Smith or Jan or something like that? It's like, man, they wouldn't do well. So I don't know. It's just weird watching that. I think I've set my standards too high at light heavyweight after seeing all these greats come through.
Light heavyweight was the glamour division at one time before John Jones cleared it and made it to Wasteland. That was the weight class that had and the Rampage Jacksons and Rashad Evans and Shoguns and Cheetahs.
Machida.
John Jones came through and cleared it all, and it's still been trying to kind of recover since John Jones came over there and dominated. So it's slowly but surely starting to build itself back up. I like Hill as the champion.
Yeah, I like Hill as the champion. I was just looking at the top 15 on light heavyweight, and I think that John Jones has only fought. There's only two people left, I think, in the light heavyweight that John Jones has fought: Dominic Reyes and Anthony Smith.
Yeah, he hasn't fought Hill yet. He hasn't fought Yuri.
Hasn't fought Jan.
If those heavyweights are too much for Jones, he always has that option of going back down there and having some fresh matchups.
Yeah, there's a lot of fresh matchups for him, but I don't know. Now that I see that, I kind of want to see him fight Hill at light heavy.
That would be a good matchup. If Jones does stick in the heavyweight division, it wouldn't be quite a super fight, but champions of both weight classes fighting each other is always pretty exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
That is always an option. And I think Hill even mentioned once or twice that he would want to face Jones. So we'll keep an eye out on that in the future. And that takes us to the co-main event. Edson Jr. Barboza turning back the hands of time and KO and Billy Quarantillo in the first round. Man, this was another knockout that was electric seeing it in person. I was surprised that he got him out of there that early, man.
Yeah, Edson Barboza, I've been a fan of him since the WEC days. Dude's got amazing kicks and knees. And I think they might have mentioned on the broadcast that the last time UFC was in Kansas City, I think Edson Barboza fought and knocked somebody out with a knee. I think.
That sounds right. Kansas City must be good luck for him, man. He might want to come back next time they have a card there if he's still fighting by then.
Yeah. And not a lot of strikes in this fight. I mean, I think they both landed around 20, but it ended, halfway through round one. Edson Barboza looked good. He's one of those guys, man. He makes it to, maybe 5, 6, and then he'll lose and get knocked back down, work his way back up. Time's not on his side right now, but it didn't seem like he's lost a step. He still looks good out there.
Evan Barboza always reminded me of the which version of Jose Aldo. except he could never get over that hump. They have like similar body types, similar fighting styles with the kicks. Fast guys in their prime. But Barboza can never get over that hump because the majority of his career he fought at lightweight, which is probably one of the most stacked divisions. If he would have went to featherweight earlier, he might have been able to get over that hump and maybe have gotten that belt. That would have been a good fight if he would have faced off against Aldo.
Yeah, let me see. Edson Barbosa. Let's look at his record here. Yeah, he's scattered, but he's beat Anthony Pettis, Gilbert Melendez, Benel Dariush. He's beat Dan Hooker. I mean, he's beat a lot of big names, but when he gets up there, he's been beat by Paul Felder, Justin Gaethje, Kevin Lee, Khabib. So his most recent loss was Bryce Mitchell.
And he waited all the way until 2020 to go to featherweight. If he would have went all the way back in like 2013 when the division, well, I think the division was established in 2011. If he would have went back like in 2013 and tried to make a run, he may have gotten a title shot against Aldo back when Aldo was on his prime, but Barboza waited a little bit too long to make that cut down to featherweight. So, but he's still a guy that you could put some exciting fights, co-main event, a fight night card, open up a pay-per-view. So I don't know if we got into it. Who would you face Barboza against next?
Is he even ranked?
He's fought 14. He came in the fight number 14.
Came in at number 14
in the featherweight.
Well, he's already lost to Bryce Mitchell. I'm sure he's had to have fought Chan Sung Jung. That would be fun though. The Korean Zombie.
Yeah. He's ranked kind of high though. Chan Sung Jung is ranked number 6. Let's see. Has he faced off against Bruce Leroy? I'm looking through the rankings now, or his record now.
No, I don't think
I don't see an Alex Carrera on this record. So put it against Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy is ranked number 15. If Bruce Leroy doesn't have a fight lined up next, he may have a fight lined up next. I don't know. But if he doesn't, that'd be a fun matchup.
That would be a fun fight, especially with, both their kicks. I like that.
Now, before we get fact checked, let me see if Bruce Leroy has a fight coming up. Because I remember he did have a fight, but it got canceled recently. Alex.
Let's see. Alex.
Yep. Alex Caceres.
Let's see.
From my knowledge,
he was scheduled to fight March 25th. Caceres withdrew due to an undisclosed reason. Doesn't say injury, so I don't know what it was canceled for, but hey.
Yeah.
It's in Barboza.
Yeah, from what I'm looking at, he doesn't have anything scheduled anytime soon, so have those two faced up against each other, which takes us to the main event. Max Bless Holloway gets the unanimous decision over Arnold Allen in a 5-round warfare. First thoughts on this fight?
First thoughts on this fight. Arnold looked good. He came out the first half of that round doing what he was supposed to do. He was putting the pressure on Max. And then I don't know if something happened, but he kind of slowed down. And then halfway through the 5th round, he brought it back and he put the pressure on and everything. Max Holloway looked great, as he usually does. Not a lot of people can make him look bad. The one thing I noticed about Max Holloway is his output is just so high. I think he still holds the record for the most strikes in a fight, but he doesn't put a lot of power behind them. That's why if he would have put power behind a lot of those shots, he probably could have got a TKO or a KO. Arnold Allen just looked real hesitant, except for the opening couple minutes, opening round, and the last round.
So Holloway's boxing and kicks looked sharp in the first round. At the beginning of the second round, Allen hit Max with some heavy shots. Then from there on, Holloway pretty much went in cruise control for the rest of the fight. using volume over power, really. And Dana White criticized Max Holloway after the fight. He's like, because they had a exchange at the end where Max dropped him. He was like, why didn't he do that the whole fight? I mean, these are high-level guys. Allen's ranked number 4. So if Max would have went balls to the wall that entire fight, he probably would have left himself open to get hit and knocked out. So I don't blame Holloway for fighting a little bit more conservative, facing a number 4 ranked guy. Because then if he loses, everybody will be like, oh, he lost it. I knew he should have retired back after the Volkanovski fights. So can't blame Max Holloway on the strategy he used.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's always got a good strategy. He does everything so perfect. I think he's fought Volkanovski, 3 times now. He couldn't really afford to lose this one if he wants to get back up there and make a case for, a 4th fight. So he did what he was supposed to do. He wasn't real damaged. I think he got a bloody nose, but, nothing too big.
Yeah, so where do you go with Holloway from now? Because he already faced Volkanovski 3 times. I doubt he wants to face a lot of people ranked behind him. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Yeah, and I think he's beat everybody close to him. I think he's already beat Brian Ortega. Pretty sure he beat Josh Emmett. I don't know. Can Max go down or up? He did go up.
He tried getting the belt at lightweight, and he lost to Dustin Poirier.
If he would move up, him and...
I mean, he hasn't faced Josh Emmett yet.
He hasn't. Mm-hmm.
That might be a fight, a holdover fight, where he could see what happens to Volkanovski. Volkanovski's supposed to face Yair Rodriguez, and Max Holloway faces not Max Holloway. Volkanovski faces Rodriguez later this year. So if Max Holloway were to take a fight between Emmett, he could just do that and then sit and pray and hope that Yair Rodriguez gets the win over Volkanovski. That seems like it's pretty much his only option at this point.
Yeah, the only other person that we mentioned earlier that I could see Holloway fighting is Chansung Jung, the Korean Zombie.
I don't think those two have faced each other yet either.
No, they haven't, and that's kind of stylistically that would be a good fight. I mean, Max's output and the Korean Zombie can take a lot of punishment and stuff. I think that would be a decent fight. Max might be a little undersized for it, but a lot of times Max is undersized in his fights, and he's used to it.
I don't think he'd be too outmatched in that fight size-wise, but I think that's another fun fight you could put on. Korean Zombie's ranked number 6. Holloway's ranked is he number 1 ranked now, or is that Yair?
Rodriguez is 1 because...
yeah, Holloway's 2. Number 2, number 6, that's not bad. Have them main event another fight night, or have them face Emmett in like a co-main event. I don't know if Emmett or Korean Zombie have anything scheduled soon, but if not, I think that'd be a nice matchup for Max Holloway.
Josh Emmett, let's take a look here and see what's on his resume. He just lost to Rodriguez. He's beat Calvin Kattar. He's beat Michael Johnson, Ricardo Lamas. Yeah, Josh Emmett has a lot better resume than I thought.
That's why he just fought for the interim title. He had a sneakily good record coming into that interim title fight. So right now, Chansung Jung doesn't have any fights coming up next. So I think either one of those fights would be good for Holloway to take.
Yeah, either one of those, I'm with it.
So, this matchmaking always plays itself out as time goes on. So they always find pretty good matchups for all the fighters. So after the fight, I went out to Kansas City Live. You're from the city, so I'm sure you've been out there before.
Oh, yeah.
That's my first time. I've been to Kansas City a good bit of time since moving to Missouri, but that was my first time going out there. It was pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, a lot of fun bars there. It's more of a younger crowd for me these days, so I don't really go down there unless, something's going on. They usually have free concerts there every week or every couple weeks. There's like, what, 10, 15 different bars there. Shark Bar is cool. The PBR bar there is cool. They got the Mechanical Bull.
Yeah, like you said, it was a younger crowd out there, so I didn't stay out there too long. I didn't even drink out there, but it was right across the street from the arena, so I said, let me just take a look. Like you said, it was all the bars right there. When I was standing in line, Clay Guida walked right past me. I'm like,
Oh,
hey,
really?
Clay. Yeah, I'm like, what's up, Clay? He like waved to the crowd, and he looked like holy hell. His face was all bruised up, so I'm sure he got a few adult beverages in the system to take away that pain.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an old blue collar boy. I'm sure he was going to drink it off.
And from what I remember, he had a younger young lady with him, if I can recall. It was kind of dark, so if it was, kudos to you, Clay Guida. As long as it wasn't his daughter, that'd be creepy. If it
Right, right. So that brings us this weekend. We have another fight night.
Yeah.
We got Curtis Blades against Sergey Pavlovich, ranked number 3 and number 4. So whoever wins this put themselves in line for a shot at the title, I would think. Curtis Blades, always game to fight, throw down. He's beat some pretty big names. He's been up at the top of heavyweight for a while.
So I've said this on previous podcasts, or I may have not. I think Curtis Blades is the only person that could give John Jones a real run for his money. But I don't think Jones will stick around long enough to even face Blades. That's not a money fight, so I don't think the matchup will happen. I think Jones would vacate before that happened, but it's going to be an interesting fight. I'll definitely be tuning in. Who you got in the fight?
I got to go with Curtis Blades on this one, just because I've seen him fight, and he's like, I always think of him as like a Derek Lewis with a gas tank and a ground game. I just pulled up Curtis Blades' record. He has 3 losses. 2
Twice
to Francis
Ngannou
Ngannou
and
and Derek Lewis.
And Derek, which he just got caught in that Derek Lewis fight.
Yeah.
If they were to do that matchup 9 more times, he probably win 9 out of 9.
Yeah. Sergey's good. He's only lost 1 fight to Overeem like 5 years ago. Sergey, he just beat Tai Tuivasa, Derek Lewis, but that's only about the big names that he's beat. But that kind of tells you about that heavyweight division, kind of how watered down it is right now. So I got Blades winning this. I don't think it hurts Sergey that much just because he can go in and pretty much beat anybody else behind him.
So he has a Greco-Roman wrestling background, Sergey does, but if you look at all his wins recently, all been by KO and TKO. So it may boil down to it who has the more dominant wrestling, because we all know Curtis Blades' wrestling acumen. He's got one of the best wrestlers in the division, so I'll definitely have my eyes on this fight this weekend. But like you said, I think Blades will be able to grind it out and get the win.
Yeah, Sergey, he has not won by decision in 6 years. And he has 6 KOs or TKOs in his last 7 fights.
Like I said, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that one. But before we get out of here, you didn't watch the prelims, but did you get a chance to see Bill Algio's post-fight interview?
Oh, the guy that talks shit on Kansas City?
Yeah, so let's play that back for the listeners real quick, just so we can hear it in full context.
I'm here with Bill Algio. Bill, what a fantastic performance. That is your 6th submission. You guys went after from the very beginning. Is that what you're expecting?
Absolutely. First things first, my man Jimmy the Genie has told me this. Everything's going well. I got a beautiful wife. I got a beautiful baby boy at home. So I want to make this official announcement that I ain't never retiring, baby! Woo! You're gonna have to get my pockets out of here!
Bill, like Michael Bisping said, it was a little cheeky elbow. Was that something you guys saw in training that would allow for you to hurt TJ Brown?
Not at all. He was hitting me a whole bunch, so I had to get him in that short range because I know he's coming for him. All right, listen, I would never retire in a dump like Kansas City. All right, I look around here, and all I see is a bunch of drop-wearing, Uber Eats driving, Bud Light drinking, down the road making sons of guns. I never retire. Woo!
That was a fantastic performance and an even better promo. Y'all better boo Bill Algeo.
So, what do you think about Bill Algeo going full heel in that interview?
Well, you know, people going full heel like that, it gets more eyes on them. It does get the attention. We just proved that by playing it on here. You know, Kansas City's not one of them places that I would do that. People are pretty passionate around here, and somebody probably tried catching him in the parking lot, you know, even though he is a fighter. Kansas City people really, you know, back the city.
The crowd was not happy with him in there. A lot of boos. I think even a few people threw some stuff. So he was a bold guy, but we talked about this in another show. We had a feeling this might try to kind of leak over into UFC now that they merged with WWE. People are trying to mark their claim and get their shine and get their clout. I don't like it if it feels formulaic and contrived. Don't be corny about it. And I feel like he's a little bit corny about it, but this isn't the last. I feel like we're going to see a lot of these going forward now that WWE merger happened.
Yeah, it really took off after, you know, Chael Sonnen was the original. Then
Yeah,
McGregor,
but Chael Sonnen was actually good at it. He didn't feel robotic about it, and like he wrote it down beforehand. He seemed natural about it. Him and Connor.
Yeah, and then you know you had the Kevin Lee, the Tony Ferguson. Those all those guys tried doing it, you know, and it seemed too much. It seems like they're faking, you know. Even Colby Covington, you know, just talking shit for the sake of talking shit. You know, the guy that talked shit in Kansas City, he would have done it anywhere. You know, he was just doing it to try to get a rise out of somebody, and we're going to see a lot of it. It's going to be a lot going forward.
Yeah, I say go for it if you're good at it, but if you're not, then leave it to the pros who are actually good at talking. So, anything else you got, Admire, before we get on out of here?
Well, I'll just plug some of our shows. You know, I'm a part of 80 Proof with Chris Rucker and Jay. Shout out to Jay Baum for producing. We are just recording today, but got to shout out Jay because he's always there for us, helping us when we are live. Tune in to Boot to the Face. You guys go live in what, 30 minutes?
Yep, about 30 minutes. We go live on Boot to the Face. So by the time you hear this, the podcast should be out. So check that out.
Yep. Yeah. We're related to a bunch of podcasts, so check them out if you do like us or whatever. 80 Proof, we just kind of shoot the shit, talk about drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Boot to the Face, you know, wrestling. And yeah, that's what I got.
Right on. So we will be back next month to preview and review UFC 288. Should be a good one. Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo for the undisputed bantamweight title. So join us next month for that. And until next time, stay safe out there. Goodbye.